So today I will present the call for applications for funding from the Fund for Development Cooperation and Humanitarian Aid. What to expect in today's presentation is where to look for information, what is the documentation, what is new, what are the terms and conditions. We will go through a few of them, the time frame of this call, and we will present what to know when filling out the project application. We will mention most frequent mistakes, or we will give some good practice examples as we see it. And of course, we will answer your questions. So where to look for information? Those who are already familiar with CPVA probably noticed that our website is updated. So the information might be in a bit different positions. However, it's everything is the same. So you can see the call and calls information and documentation in the main page of CPVA. If you scroll down, there will be almost in the end will be a section calls for proposals, and will be slides going with calls. So one of that will be call for applications for funding from the fund, and once you click on it, you will be entering to this call. You can see it in the picture right top corner. If this is not comfortable for you, you can enter also from the main page. Main page, you can select calls for proposals, and then select Development Cooperation and Humanitarian Aid Program, and then the newest. It goes from on top. The newest, least newest goes to the bottom. So in the top, you will see the newest current call for applications. The third option is, you can see on the right bottom picture, you can choose activities, administrative programs, development cooperation and humanitarian aid. There you will see on the left content, and in the content there will be one of that will be calls. Once you click on it, you will see the information as in the picture on the left. So the purpose of this call is to select and finance projects in line with the strategic directions for Lithuanian development cooperation and the concepts approved by the governing board. The documentation will be, as in previous calls, we have very similar, only a bit updated. So once you open the call, the page of the call in our website, in the left corner and left top, you see some screenshot of it. You will see a summary of the call, and in blue, red arrow is showing there will be view important documents. Once you click on that, you see as in the picture below, and there you can download all documentation and forms that is needed for this call. There you can also find terms and conditions of this call, that we advise to read carefully. There you can see also the concepts. In this call, we have 3 of them. Later on, I will be going through all of them. We have forms that are requested to be submitted together with the application. You can download them and use them for your application, and you should use them for it, because they are this call's forms. Exactly, them should be used. So we have project application estimate, one of the mandatory document, applicant's confirmation form, declaration form, plans for implementation of the project activities and publicity of the project, certificate of justification for the voluntary work planned to cover part of the own contribution. If
Greta,
available.
Are you showing the slides? Because we don't see.
Yes, I'm showing the slides.
No, sorry, we don't see.
Okay. So, sorry, I am then again sharing it. And then probably now you see it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So once again, then content, probably you heard a lot of information, then I am just not repeating. I will show the pictures that you were not able to see. So here are the pictures of that I was mentioning of for calls for proposals, proposals that when you click on calls for proposals, development, cooperation, humanitarian, and where to find the call, the top one is the newest. And then through activities, administrative programs, development, cooperation, and humanitarian aid, you choose. And then again, in the content on the left, you will choose calls and you will see the picture on the left shortly. The purpose I already told, so I think I will not read it again. And here you can see the documentation that I was mentioning and I was describing. So here we can see, once you open the call, here you will see on the left top corner, view important documents. And once you click on it, you see that all the documentation and its forms that are used in this call. So as you see, you will see the concepts. You can download all the forms, and you can, now I was, I think, already mentioning all of the forms. What was left to mention that lastly, you can also download the evaluation forms to see how the application will be evaluated by evaluators. The time frame of this call will be that the project applications must be submitted until 4 of November, 5:00 Lithuanian time. I would really like to mark this time and to emphasize it. It's after this, at 5:00, the application submission system closes the application, the possibility to submit the application automatically. So even if you have already a draft saved or you are already in submission, however, your internet is still not confirmed it, or it's slow or something, at 5:00 it's closed, and if your application is not submitted, it will not be accepted after that. This is why we highly recommend to submit your application before, at least few days before starting to submit it, not to write, but to submit already. And because might be that once you are submitting, you will notice something else. The system will be showing that something else is not filled out. So you will be having enough time to do that. As well as we hear, there are sometimes the problems can be the problems of electricity, of internet, when you are on your side, when you are applying. That would be not an exception for submitting the application on application submission system submittable. After the deadline, all applications that submitted until the deadline will be evaluated. Evaluation will be performed, administrative compliance evaluation will be performed, and later will be content and cost evaluation. Only those applications that will be confirmed as compliant, passing administrative compliance, only those will be assessed in the next evaluation stage. After content and cost evaluation stage, the governing board will take a final decision for funding the applications, and we are expecting signing the project implementation agreements in January 2025. So what is new in this call? In this call is new compared to the call of 2023 that up to 50% of the required own contribution may be in form of an in-kind contribution valued in monetary terms. Of course, if other terms are met, later on I will be a bit talking about own contribution, but also much more terms and conditions will be in paragraph 9 of terms and conditions. Another change is that the application must be accompanied by a mandatory document, the estimate. It doesn't sound as new. A new condition, however, it's new from 2023 that before it used to be more mandatory documents, failing which to apply, to submit together with the initial application. The application was rejected. At this moment, we have only this one mandatory document in the estimate. Of course, other documents are important to be submitted. The fundamental change that could be mentioned compared with the call of 2024 that was happening in spring is that an application will be rejected if it has not met requirements of administrative eligibility assessment, if it scores 55 points or less in assessment of content and costs. This was already in the previous, but the change is that, or if it doesn't obtain required passing score in at least one of the groups of assessment criteria, or if it disagrees with the proposed amount of funds according to the paragraph 11.8 of terms and conditions. Later we will be going through the passing scores in presentation, and we will be showing, you will see the differences more if you've seen the previous ones. So the concept that we are having 3 in total. The first one is promotion of societal resilience to disinformation and prevention of hybrid threats in Armenia. The partner country, as from the name we see, it's Republic of Armenia, areas of cooperation, democracy and civil society, public awareness. The project aiming to enhance societal resilience to disinformation and hybrid threats in Armenia. We see the objectives that should be reached in the project. The target group is civil society organizations. And I will not read everything. I think should be read in specific relevant concept. Concept number 2, strengthening national and regional media capabilities and resilience to disinformation in Moldova. So the partner country is Moldova, Republic of Moldova, area of cooperation, media, and the project should be aiming to strengthen Moldova's national and regional media capabilities and resilience to disinformation. Objectives are listed, and we see the target group, national and regional media and journalists. The concept number 3, comparing to the spring's call, this might be having the most changes, this concept, economic and social empowerment of youth and women in Iraq. So we could be saying that the change is youth, before used to be girls. And the partner country is Iraq, areas of cooperation, gender equality and women empowerment, education. Project should be aiming to improve the economic and social status of youth and women by creating opportunities for professional employment. The target groups are youth and women seeking to strengthen their economic and social skills. And it's written, marked that one target group can be selected. It means that if it will be selected or youth or women, not only both, it would be suitable. Also what we have a mark point where it's written the definition, what is understood, what the youth means, and it's giving the young person's definition. So the amount intended to be allocated from the fund according to this call is 300,000. The minimum amount of funding that can be requested from the fund per one project is 30,000 and the maximum 100,000. What I could mention here to add that your project can be 200,000, can be more, can be 101,000. However, it cannot be more requested from the fund. The funds part cannot be more than 100,000 and less than 30. If the total cost of the project is less or equal to 50,000 euros, maximum duration of the project activities should be not more than 12 months. If the total cost of the project is more than 50,000 euros, the maximum duration of the project activity should be not more than 24 months. Here we receive sometimes we receive a question, so I will try to reply that, to mention that if the project is 50,000, so the maximum that could be projected in your project, the planned should be 12 months, and it cannot be extended later on. If it can be also less, it can be 9. If the total cost of the project is more than 50,000, so if it's 51,000, if it's 60,000, if it's 200,000, the maximum duration of the project activity should be not more than 24 months, 2 years. However, it can be less. It can be also whatever number that is less, 9 months, 12 months, not more than 24. The share financed by the fund is up to 90% of the total eligible project costs, and all the project costs are paid in equal proportion as approved. So an example is given that the applicant, let's say in the application, the applicant has indicated that the application that it will contribute 10% of its own funds to the project from the total project value. And if such project application would be approved, all actual eligible project cost will be paid 90-10 proportion. It means that every cost, every line of the estimate, when confirmed, are 90% from the funds and 10% own contribution. It correlates with the next point. The minimum amount of the own contribution is 10% of the total value of the project. So is the same. It's from total value, not less than 10. It can be more, not less. As I was mentioning already in the previous slides, up to 50% of the required own contribution may be in the form of in-kind contribution. Of course, always if it is allowed under the terms and conditions. What it means that if your own contribution, you are planning to your own contribution of 10%, 10,000, and that would be meaning from your total cost 3,000 in total, that you need 3,000 in total own contribution. In this case, 50% that is allowed, if other terms and conditions are met, would be 1,500, could be in-kind contribution. The indirect project cost cannot be more than 10% of the total value of the project, and the costs for the activities foreseen in the project estimate must be justified. The requirements for applications, applicants, and partners. So the applicants and project partners can be Lithuanian and foreign legal entities, other organizations, their subdivisions, and natural persons. The applicant must have at least one partner registered in the partner country, and the partner in the partner country is not required, not must, if the project application is submitted by an applicant registered in the partner country. Here I would like maybe to explain more, because I see that sometimes there are some doubts. So if you are an applicant that is Lithuanian legal entity and applying for the concept, for example, number 1, that has a partner country, Armenia, it means that this applicant that later would be a project promoter implementing the project, this Lithuanian legal entity should have at least one partner that is registered in Armenia. However, if in the same situation, the applicant, the future project promoter, is a foreign legal entity that is registered in Armenia, it means Armenian legal entity, if applying to the concept number 1, it's not mandatory to have a partner at all. Here should be only one thought that to think that in that case, if you are Armenian legal entity, an applicant, and you are you don't have a partner. However, in your project application will be some descriptions, or in the concept, the objectives are to transfer some Lithuanian experience, to share some experience of Lithuania, but there are no partners. Probably you should be more in detail justifying how such experience will be transferred even without the project partners in Lithuania. If there will be foreign legal entity, the same situation, concept number 1, partner country Armenia, and the foreign legal entity is neither Lithuania, neither Armenia, it means that it must be having a partner registered in Armenia. Special requirements for applicants or partners can be determined in the concepts. You should read the relevant to you. One applicant can submit only one application per one concept. If an applicant or partner submits more than one project application per one concept, all applications submitted by that applicant or partner will be rejected. So it's very important to make sure. And of course, the application should meet all the requirements. Here we can see more, and in the terms and conditions, probably a bit more requirements for applicants, for applications. I will not read them, but I will leave in this slide that later we will be sharing. In-kind contribution. In-kind contribution to the project is eligible, but only if the project promoter, it means applicant, meets the definition of non-governmental organization or social partner. The definitions are provided in terms and conditions. Here we can see in the slide how they are understood in this call. And another requirement that in-kind contribution can be only by project promoter, applicant, and or the project partner that are meeting definition of NGO or social partner. To explain better, I put 3 situations, 3 examples. So the first one is first situation that the project promoter is an NGO and the project partner is also an NGO. In-kind contribution is to the project is possible. Both the project promoter and the project partner can contribute in kind up to 50% in total per both. The second situation, the project promoter is an NGO and the project partner is neither an NGO or a social partner. In-kind contribution to the project would be possible, but only by the project promoter that is NGO. And the third situation, the project promoter is not an NGO or social partner, but the project partner is an NGO. In this situation, in-kind contribution to the project will be not possible because the project promoter must be NGO or social partner as well. What it's important to mention in these situations that it's really important if you are meeting NGO or social partner definitions and you provide the documentation confirming it, there is no doubt that you should be using in-kind contribution if you wish. However, if there will be in-kind contribution planned, but the in-kind contribution would be not allowed, or that institution is not meeting that definition, there would be a risk of own contribution, because to reach the own contributions percent, that is minimum 10%. Because if you planned 10%, the minimum required own contributions amount, that is 10%, and 50% of that you will cover in kind, but it will be not allowed, so there is a risk to not have own contribution, the minimum own contribution. And then kind contribution can be only for voluntary work, where the actual time spent is expressed in monetary value, can constitute a contribution in kind. Voluntary work must be measurable and should produce a tangible result. The in-kind contribution must be expressed in monetary value using the volunteering rates that are provided in terms and conditions. They are adopted by European Commission, and only those volunteering rates could be used. Voluntary work must be documented in a written contract between the volunteer and employer. The same person cannot be contracted for the same functions or work under both an employment contract or service contract and voluntary work. So what does it mean? That if you are planning that the project manager is working, he has employment contract, and you would like that some part of it would be in kind contribution, it means it's not meeting this requirement, because the same function goes and should be for different ones. Here we can see the eligible cost of the project. I will not read all of them. I am leaving them here. Of course, they are in terms and conditions. What I could say that the eligible cost of the project, as you will see or saw in estimate form also, they are planned for direct costs that are for implementing the project activities, or indirect project management costs. So direct costs means that it must be planned for specific activity to happen, to that the costs that are necessary for that activity to happen. Let's say the activity is to prepare analysis, and it means only the costs that are needed for that analysis to be prepared should be planned under that specific activity. Indirect project management costs, however, they are for project management, for project to happen. So there could be project managers, project coordinators, financiers, administrators' salaries, who would be preparing reports, other information for whole project. Ineligible cost of the project would be everything what is not eligible. What I could mention and maybe mark is that the costs of meals for employees of project promoter or partner are ineligible if they have been paid per diem allowance during their business trip. So, for example, your employee is going to the business trip for some activity, and as he's going under as it's business trip, according to the laws, the per diems should be paid. So this is why in the per diem should be already covering the meals of the employee in that country. This is why the meals for that employee should be not counted. The cost of meals and accommodation provided by service providers also would be ineligible, because the service provider should include in its service in his service rate everything what needs to be for that service to happen, to provide that service. There is an exception to that only it would be acceptable if in the contract it's with the service provided is stated clearly, concrete, specified what is additionally agreed to pay additionally to the service rate. As I was mentioning before, applications must be completed and submitted only via electronic submission system submittable. The application can be completed in Lithuanian or English. Lithuanian applicants should be submitting the project applications in Lithuania. That is according to the law on the state language of the Republic of Lithuania, that Lithuanian institutions should be handling documents and communicating in the national language. If the applicant is foreign, registered in the foreign legal or natural person, it shall complete and submit the project application in English or Lithuanian language, of course, if you wish. The application should be accompanied by annexes, and if those annexes are issued or prepared in other languages than English or Lithuanian, the documents should be submitted together with the translation. It means that if it's in other than Lithuanian or English language, the document in original language should be submitted, and together with that, the translation. It is not required by the terms and conditions, the official translation with the apostille or with the notary confirmation, only if there would be some questions about the translation for the evaluator, he or she could ask about that. The application must be accompanied by the following documents. So as I was mentioning, the mandatory document is estimate and many more documents, such as confirmation of the project applicant, declaration by the project promoter and partner, or if there is partner, documents certifying the legal status of the project promoter, a free-form commitment to finance the specific project with its own contribution, and other documents. Once received, the project application will be evaluated in 2 stages, and the application would be rejected if the applicant and or partner has provided false or misleading information, if it hasn't met the requirements of the administrative eligibility assessment, if it scores 55 points or less in the assessment of the project's content and the reasonableness of the costs, and or if it doesn't attain the required passing score in at least one of the groups of assessment criteria, and or if it disagrees with the proposed amount of funds according to the point 11.8. You can see here is this point marked in the bottom, and of course it is in the terms and conditions. So as I was mentioning before, in the first stage, administrative eligibility assessment is performed, and in the second stage, content and reasonableness of costs. The application would be rejected if it is submitted after the deadline, if it is submitted not by the submission application submission system, in other words, in another manner that is requested. If an applicant or project partner has submitted more than one application for a concept, if application is not submitted for that area of cooperation that is set in the concept for which the application is submitted, if applicant or partner is not eligible under the terms and conditions, if the application names a wrong partner country, That is for that concept where it's applied to. If application is submitted without partners from the partner country, unless the exceptions are applied, the application is not accompanied by project estimate. The amount requested to be funded doesn't comply with the requirements of terms and conditions. If the own contribution is there is no own contribution, or it's too small, it's smaller than 10%, and if the duration of the project that is planned is longer than should be. During the content and reasonableness of costs assessment, the project application would be rejected if after evaluation of it and awarding the scores, an application would score 55 points or less out of 100 points. And if it would not obtain the required passing score in at least one of the group of evaluation criteria. Here you can see the passing scores, and all the passing scores are 50% from the maximum, except for the group number 6, special criteria, where there is a passing score 2 points out of 10. So I am finishing now with this part, and I invite you to write some questions if you have. Now I will be putting a video. In that video, my colleague already explained previously how to prepare an application and how to make the application. What are the tips for preparing the application? What are the main mistakes? So I will be providing it. If you will be not hearing it, please tell me, and I will check why you don't see it. Okay.
And I will go through what to know when filling out a project application. The most important things that are important in both project evaluation stages, meaning what is important in terms of these two project evaluation stages. Okay, I will start with the administrative eligibility assessment stage. And here we have the mandatory document, which has to be submitted with the project application. If the and this document is the project application estimate. And as Greta mentioned, this is the only document which has to be submitted with the project application. And if it it is not submitted, the project application is rejected, and the right to submit the missing document during the project application evaluation is not granted. There is no, I would like to repeat, there is no other mandatory documents to be attached to the project application, which leads to irrevocable rejection of the project application. So it's a very important thing to note. And next, the most common mistake is that the same legal entity is named as applicant or project partner in more than one project application under a single concept. And here I would like to provide an example. Let's say company X submitted a project application for concept 1, and company H also submitted a project application for concept 1 and stated in it that it is submitting the project application with the project partner company X. And in this case, it is estimated that company X is indicated as an applicant and the project partner in more than one project application in a single concept. And in such a case, all project applications will be rejected. This type of information provided in the project application cannot be updated by the applicant during the evaluation of the project application. Therefore, it's very important to be sure that you are not mentioned in the other project application as project partner in a single concept. Next most common mistake is that it is unsecured own contribution to the project. And in case of this call, at least 10% of the total amount of the project cost should be your own contribution. And if the project application is not in line with this requirement, application will be rejected. This type of information provided in the project application cannot be updated by the applicant during the evaluation of the project application. And next very important thing is that the project applicant should have a project partner registered in the partner country. A project partner in partner country is not necessary if the project application is submitted by an applicant registered in the partner country. Greta already mentioned, but I would like to repeat this important point. For example, in case of first concept, partner country is Republic of Armenia, then if the project promoter is not registered in Republic of Armenia, they have to have a project partner. If project promoter is registered in Republic of Armenia, that it is not obligatory for him to have partner, but it is not forbidden to have it. And this type of information, as well as other mentioned above, cannot be updated by the applicant during the evaluation of applications. What is important when assessing the content and reasonableness of costs of the project application? There are 6 criteria for evaluation of content and reasonableness of cost of project application. It is the relevance of the project justification, financial justification of the project continuity, impact on the target group and sustainability of results, project management and experience, and the specific criteria. As you can see, the highest value is for project justification and financial justification of the project. So, as well, other criteria are important, but they have low points, low numbers of points. When describing the relevance of the project, the information must be specific, relevant to the project, and presented in a concentrated manner. A reference to legal acts, the specific clauses must be provided in the project application, justification, how they correspond to or contribute to the specific policy, strategy, or goal specified in the concept. The problem addressed by the project must be relevant and significant, clearly defined and analyzed. And the most common mistake is that the relevance of the project is described superficially. References to relevant legal acts are not provided. Project significance is unjustified. What's important in terms of project justification, it should be mentioned that project aim and project objectives should comply the concept, meaning, for example, in concept 1, project aim is to enhance societal resilience to disinformation and hybrid threats in Armenia. It means that the project aim should be the same or equal. The same goes with the project objectives, and all 3 project objectives should be in the project application. Project should seek to comply with project objectives. And the most common mistake that the aim and or objectives of the project do not correspond to the concept or only partially correspond to it. Project activities must be linked to the project aim and objectives and form the assumptions for the implementation of the project's objectives. The results of the project must be specific, quantitatively expressed. It had to be mentioned that it is very important to express results in quantitative manner, and these results must be measurable. They have to be clearly separated and detailed according to the activities performed. And the project application must maintain a consistent internal logic of the project. And the most common mistake is that the activities and results of the project are not specific, not measurable, do not correspond to the aim, objective, or activities of the project. So it's very important to understand the logic of the project and have measurable results. The same goes with the target group. The target group of the project must comply with the target group mentioned in the concept. For example, in concept 1, we have civic society or organizations. So the same should be the same target group should be in the project application, the project, and this target group must be determined very clearly. Its inclusion in the implementation of activities must be described, and so on. This is a good example for filling out project aim, objective, activities, and results. And as you can see here, the result of first activity: prepare the overview of the situation of vocational education in Iraq, 1 PC. It is clear that one document will be prepared. And here we have the second example where the result of the second activity of the first objective is described very clearly and has clear result. And here is the description of the target group. Target group is clearly described. We know that we can assume that this group is in line with the concept, and target group is expressed in numbers. So it is very important it is very important issues when evaluating the project application. So it is very important to include this information in the project application. Another important thing in the project application is project implementation plan. And sometimes the plan for implementation of project activities and its publicity are not detailed and not separated between each other, meaning project implementation activities and project publicity activities overlap, and it is not, and we do not know which is which, and I should note that the plan for the activities of the project activities must be drawn up in accordance with the activities plan in the project application. A logical sequence and detail must be maintained. A rational implementation period must be provided for the implementation of a project and its publicity activities, ensuring sufficient time to implement them. And the project and publicity activities must be clearly separated and planned in separate implementation plans. And here is provided a good example where you can see that project activities described in paragraph 3.1 of the project application are forwarded to the project implementation plan in the part project activities, and project publicity activities described in paragraph 4.4 of the project application are provided in project publicity plan in project publicity plan section. What is important when preparing a project application estimate? It's another important document which has to be attached to the project application. And when justifying a project cost, it is important that the amount of own contribution to the project cannot be less than 10% of the total project costs. Indirect project costs cannot be more than 10% of the total project costs, and in-kind contribution cannot be more than 50% of the share of own contribution, and project costs can be incurred by project promoter and project partner. No other institutions or persons can incur project costs. As Greta mentioned all costs that are included in the project application estimate must be supported by the documentation, and in case of goods, services, of works costs, 3 commercial offers should be submitted with the project application, or when the price of the object is up to or equal to 15,000 euro without VAT, it is enough to submit 1 commercial offer. And it should be noted that commercial offers must be no older than 3 months before the deadline for submission of project applications, and the average price of the commercial offers should be included in the project application estimate. Other documents, if you do not have commercial offers, you can submit screenshots of at least 3 web pages of online shops showing the prices of the goods, services, or works, or provide a copy of signed contract for goods, services, or works if it was concluded no earlier than 1 year before the deadline of submission of project application, but this applies only when those goods, services, or works are equivalent to those included in the project application estimate. And when we talk about the salary, to support the salary costs, you should submit certificates on the rates normally applied in the institution, certificates on the 6 months average salary of specific employee, certificates on the average total salary of employees in the relevant position, or reference to publicly available information on average salaries in Lithuania or partner country. In case of voluntary work, you should provide a certificate of justification for the voluntary work plan to cover part of their own contribution. This is Annex 6 to the call, and it is published with the call documents. This form is prescribed by the CPVA and shall be submitted as supporting the documentation with project application. There are some cases where no justification is required. It is the first case is for short-term experts and speakers working under service contracts, and where such costs are planned per person and they are not more than or equal to 350 euro per working day, or 43.75 euro per working hour, and include all other related costs of the short-term expert or speakers. And the second is for travel to a foreign country, and where such costs do not exceed the European Commission's per diem rates. And link to the European Commission per diem rates is published with the terms and conditions of the call, and you can find the link there. Also, it's very important to know that the rates referred to here, which are here mentioned and referred in paragraph 8.12 of the terms and condition of the call, are used only for purpose of evaluating project applications, and when the implementation of the project start, actual expenses will have to be declared and supporting documents submitted. So the cost must be planned consistently according to the project structure, meaning according to the project objectives and activities planned in the project application. The project application estimate must show a clear relation between project objectives, activities, and planned costs. All supporting documents must be attached to the project application, as scores will be given based on information provided with the initial project application. I should emphasize this sentence because it's very important, as you see, to provide all documentation on all supporting documentation with the project application to get the highest scores for the project application. When costs are based on commercial offers, such costs should be included in the project application estimate based on average price, as is already mentioned, and these commercial offers the average price of these commercial offices should not be rounded to the whole number. The cost should be included in the project application estimate with the euros and euro cents. When costs are based on certificates or a plan according to the fixed rates, they must not exceed the amount specified in the certificates or rates. The cost must be planned in accordance with the limitations set for the requested amount and indirect project costs, in-kind contribution and non-contribution costs. And the most important thing is that the amount requested from the fund of the project should be in the range of 30,000 to 100,000 euro. And it should be mentioned that the amount requested from the funds should be not mixed with the total value of the project. And here's presented a good example where you can see that project objective mentioned in paragraph 3.1 of the project application is forwarded to the project application estimate, meaning if in the project application you mentioned that the project objective is to analyze the situation of vocational education in Iraq and etc., the same should be mentioned in the project application. And the same goes with the project activities. They should be the same as it is mentioned in the project application in paragraph 3.1. And here is an example of filled out project application estimate. The project application estimate has the formulas to ease your work and to check whether information provided in it is correct and in line with the call requirements. And as you can see, the amount of own contribution to the project is not lower than 10% of the total project cost. You can see in own contribution line in project funding source part of the project estimate, and in-kind contribution is not higher than 50% of the share of own contribution. Here, in-kind contribution is planned in indirect project cost part, but it can be planned in direct cost part of the project estimate. So it's not matter where you plan them. It's important that it is more important that they are in line with the eligible and non-eligible costs. The descriptions in direct project costs are not higher than 10% of the total project costs, and you can here check in the note part of the total and direct project costs line the percentage of total direct project costs. And what was already mentioned, that all costs must be supported with the supporting documents. And as you can see, overview preparation services are planned in 111 line of the project estimate, and in the note part of it, it's mentioned that the price is set according to the 3 commercial offers, meaning the average price. And in the project estimate line 1-to-1 export services, in note part, it's mentioned that the costs are planned according to the paragraph 8.12.1 of the call, as it was already mentioned that no supporting documents are needed in such a case when evaluating project application. And the fourth criteria, project continuity, impact of the target group, and sustainability of results. And this part of application evaluation should be mentioned that the project application must identify the project and its activities to be continued after the end of the project, the need for such continuation, and the specific arguments as to how and by which specific institution the continuation will be ensured. It's very important to mention specific institutions responsible for continuation of the project. And the project application must indicate how the transferability and continuity of the project results will be ensured, the specific institution or persons responsible for ensuring the use of the project results. Again, it's very important to mention specific institutions, persons responsible, and so on. And the project application must clearly identify the specific impact of the project on the target group. And the most common mistake is that the continuity of the project and its impact on the target group are described in non-specific manner or not in detail. The fifth criteria is the project management and experience. And here we have project team and it's evaluated a description of how it was described, project team and experts, and the project management structure, functions of the team in the project must be clearly described. If experts are used, the necessity of their participation in the project must be justified, and the number of experts participating in the project must be specified. The requirements for the experience must be specified as well. The most important risks of the project, their impact and specific risk management measures must be listed and assessed in the project application. And sometimes it happens that the project management structure, the experience of the team members is not described in detail. The necessity of the team members or expert is not justified. The project risks are assessed superficially. Here's example, a good example how the information could be provided, how detailed information could be provided in the project application, and it will be assessed whether the project promoter, applicant, and at least one member of the project team who will carry out project activities according to information provided in the application, have experience while implementing projects financed by development cooperation funds or other funds. Therefore, it's important to provide the required information for one and for two parts of the project application. And it will be assessed whether the project manager has experience in implementing at least one similar project. And here we mean a similar project, and when the similar projects were developed, funded by the development cooperation implemented with a value of at least 70% of the total value of the project, as indicated in paragraph 1.4 of the project application. And the project application must be specific, specify that experts will or will not be used. If expert will be used and specific experts are known, it must be additionally indicated which experts will be used, their functions and experience, and specific experts to be used are not yet known. Then in such a case, information on the number of experts needed, the requirements for the experts and their functions, the project must be provided in the project application. Here is good examples. You can study them later on. And in case of this call, additional scores will be awarded if the project promoter applies corruption prevention practices in its activities. When the applicant is a legal entity, the project application must clearly state that the project promoter has implemented anti-corruption program, action plan, or transparency standard. Or project application must clearly state that the project promoter is a member of the Clear Wave initiative. The Clear Wave initiative is a collective action initiative to promote business integrity and transparency. And of course, supporting documents or references to publicly available information, which must be provided together with the project application. And in case when project promoter is a natural person, the project application must clearly state that the project promoter has completed the course International Bribery, organized by the Lithuanian Special Investigation Service. Here is the link to those courses. Those courses, of course, are mentioned in the terms and conditions of the call. The course supporting document, in this case, a certificate must be provided with the project application. In the specific criteria part, we have project publicity, and in case of project publicity measures must be planned for publicizing the project in Lithuania and in each partner country. The project must include specific publicity measures, indicate references to them, the frequency of publicity, and the size of intended audience. After planning the project publicity plan must be completed. As it was mentioned, formation, the project application and project publicity plan must be the same. And the most common mistake is that the means of publicizing the project and are described in general terms or are insufficient. That is all for today. And maybe we could skip to the question part.
Okay, so I stopped the video and I will be moving, and Neringa also were saying, to the question part. So if you will have more questions that you haven't typed in the chat, you can do it in voice, raise your hand and ask. One question that we have, you had a definition of an NGO in your slides, but you went over it too fast. Can you please clarify if... Okay, I will open one more time that slide to see the definition. Definition is also available in the terms and conditions. So I would suggest also to look there and to read over all, if you are thinking to use the own in-kind contribution, to read all paragraph 9 of terms and conditions. So the mentioned slide was this one. As you see, it's I will share it. If you don't see it, tell me. So NGO, a public legal person acting on a voluntary basis, independent of state or municipality institutions and bodies for the benefit of the public or group of the public, the purpose of which is not to seek political power or to pursue purely religious aims, and which holds a document certifying its NGO status. So I am stopping to share. I don't know if this question is still relevant, and after reading, if everything is more clear. If no, please ask one more time.
Yes.
Yes.
I was just wondering, so if an NGO, if we define our NGO as a private non-profit entity, and we have documents certifying that we are an NGO, so would that not be eligible in that case?
If you are having a document certifying that you are NGO submitted together, and it should be not an issue.
Okay, thank you.
Another question that we had was in Lithuanian, but I will vocalize also. I replied in Lithuanian, but I will vocalize because probably it's relevant to everybody. Can you get a presentation and the video? The presentation that was shown today and the recording will be published together with under the section where is the call document. So once you open the call on our website where I was showing, you will be seeing under important documents there should be, or yes, I think it will be there. You might find it. No more questions. I will wait 15 more seconds if somebody has a question. You can, the question we have, until what date can you ask questions? Consultations are until the deadline of the application submission deadline. So until 4 of November, consultations are provided. However, I would recommend not to ask on the last day. Might be that on the last day you will not receive an email, or as terms and conditions are saying, we should have at least 3 days to reply. Of course, there is also the phone number to call, but when there is the emergency, usually of the last day, there is a lot of calls. There might be busy line, or might be that the email will reach you after you submitted already. So I would suggest, but yes, you can do that until the end.